Hello, Amaro. I'm so glad that you're back in the classroom with me again, and I'm so glad that we're going to have a chance to work together. And the good news is, while you were away, I came up with an easy way for us to work together. Now, I really want to talk to you, so let's still do our hangouts. Let's still talk on the telephone, find out how you're doing, because I'm worried about that. Want to make sure you're doing great. But right now, let's talk about the easy way to get work done. So right now we have to work on our comprehend packet, our packets we used to do in the classroom, and you have to do lesson 7 from science. Now remember, it's pretty hard if we're not working together, but I found this easy way where first we will look on the computer together at the lesson, and then I'll help you write the answers. So by now you should have a piece of paper and a pencil. And on that piece of paper, I need you to write this down. Your name, SCI period 10.7. So that tells us it's Amaros Paper. He's doing science, because that's the abbreviation for science. Unit 10, lesson 7. Science 10.7. So we're going to get ready to do Unit 10, lesson 7. Now let's come over here and take a look at this. Unit 10, lesson 7. Question number 1 is going to be, what do you call an environment in the organisms that inhabit it? And the answer is ecosystem. Question number 2, the answer is going to be exploitation. And the question is, what do you call it when someone uses something for personal gain and they misuse it? And it's called exploitation. And then question number 3, hold on, we're going to do this together. So just first let me ask you question number 3. Question number 3, what are they worried about happening to ecosystems? And they're worried about them becoming damaged. So now let's go back over here to your paper. Ecosystem was number 1. Exploitation is the answer to number 2. And damaged is the answer to number 3. So please write down your answers for number 1, 2, and 3, and we can just wait a minute. I'm going to give you a chance to write it down. Number 1, what do you call an environment in the inhabitants? Ecosystem. Number 2, what do you call it when someone uses something for personal gain and they misuse it? Exploitation. And number 3, what are they worried about the ocean's ecosystem? They're worried about it getting damaged. So 1, 2, 3, write those down. Okay, if you didn't get to write them down, hit pause on the videotape or on the YouTube video, because you know how to use YouTube videos. So hit pause on that and write those down. If you did write them down, then let's go on to the next questions. The next 2 questions, here they come. We have 2 more questions we're going to be writing down together. And the first question is, okay, so they notice that the ocean is getting ruined. Human impact on the ocean or on the water. So they said, people, nations can be in charge for how many miles off of their coast? And the answer is 12 miles. Nations are in charge of 12 miles off of their coast, in charge of the waters. But for fishing, they get control of 200 miles. So these are our next 2 answers, 12 miles and 200 miles. So let's go back in and write those. Number 4, how many miles off of the coast are people are nations in charge of? They're in charge of 12 miles. How many miles of fishing are they in charge of? 200. 12 miles. 200 miles. Okay, so now you should have done your answers number 1 through 5. Isn't this easier? I think it's easier because you get to see the questions and you get to see the answers. So you wrote down 1, ecosystem, 2, exploitation, 3, damaged, 4, 12 miles, 5, 200 miles. Let's get ready to take a look at question number 6. Here we go. Okay, so now they're saying that there's 5 areas that the international community, that's people around the world, all the countries around the world are worried about 5 areas. They're worried about exploitation of the species in the ocean, the animals in the ocean. That means people misusing them. They're worried about the ecosystem getting damaged. They're worried about pollution of coastal waters. They're worried about introduction of non-native species and climate change. So we're going to look at those. So the next two questions list 2 areas that nations are worried about or that countries are worried about. 2 areas. So two things they're worried about. One thing they're worried about, overfishing. And another thing that they're worried about is loss of habitat. Loss of habitat is the same as loss of home. So they're saying overfishing, is like where all the fish are gone. And loss of habitat is, they don't have their home anymore. The fish don't have homes anymore. The whales don't have homes anymore. The little crabs don't have a home anymore. Why? Because all the countries destroyed the ocean. So that's loss of habitat. Okay, so by now you should have 6 and 7 done. So we will go on to number 8. Let's see what else they're worried about. Pollution. So a lot of people, a big thing is dumping oil into the ocean, ruins the ocean, kills the animals. So all that is a form of pollution. So let's get ready to write down pollution for number 8. And then number 9. Number 9, I'm just going to, instead of going over to the other screen, I'm just going to tell you what it is. Now, it's a little tricky to understand, but it's alien species. And what alien species is the name for the introduction of something new to the habitat. So if you don't have Godzillas living on Earth, but if we did have Godzillas, or if we did have dinosaurs living on Earth, living in Corpus, that would ruin our habitat. That would ruin us as humans. It would kill us off. It would ruin our habitat because we can't really go up against dinosaurs. It would be very hard to have those foreign animals introduced to our habitat. So that's what an alien species is. It's something that doesn't usually belong there. So that's number 9. And our very last one, number 10. Let's see, we have pollution, we have alien species, and climate change. So they are worried about the climate changing, and the climate change is the same as temperature. Do you want to say climate change, or do you like to say temperature change? Which one do you like? Temperature change is a little harder to write, so I think you'll want to say climate change. Either one is good. Write down what you want. But they are worried about the ocean temperature changing because if it gets too hot, the animals could all die. If it gets too cold, the animals could all die. So anyway, that is it. You have done it. That is a great job. Let's make this a little smaller here to see. So your paper should look like this now. Oh, we don't want it that small. Hold on. Your paper should look like this. Your name at the top, Science 10.7 at the top, and then all of your answers wrote out. And that was pretty easy, I think, compared to what we used to have to do. Now what we need to do is you need to show this to me. So you can FaceTime me and show it to me. You can take a picture with the telephone camera, and text it to me. You could take a picture and send it to me on Google Hangouts. If you call me, you could just hold it up to the camera and show it to me, and I'll take a screenshot. But anyway, you need to get a picture of this Science 10.7 and get it to me, or let me look at it through the video camera so that I can see it's done. Okay, so I'll be looking for proof that this is done. Congratulations, you did an excellent job. Way to go. Oop, oop. Welcome back. Oop.